All right, so apparently there was an almost 4-hour director's cut of Project Hail Mary, which is very interesting, and I would very much be interested in seeing the movie, but maybe as much as the next person, just slightly a little bit less, and I'll get into that right about now. But firstly, look, I printed out Grace, the one that Rocky did for him. I 3D printed it, which is pretty cool. All right, anyways, now back to the why I wouldn't necessarily be overly too fond about the director's cut, because I don't think it would do anything more than what the movie gave us already. All right, I'm not opposed to the 4-hour runtime. It's just that there were so many details left out from the book that it just wasn't translated properly in the movie, I guess, because of time constraints. Like, firstly, they just kind of thrown into the plot that the sun is dying, but I kind of wanted to see or have the name drop of the Japanese satellite that found out about the astrophage because the satellite's name is Amaterasu, Naruto, nerdy reference and stuff like that. All right, but then there's an entire thing about Grace being told his name by the computer, that's an entire chapter of him trying to learn his name, which is probably really important, especially after he gets drugged by Strat. So there's that. And then him finding the vodka to celebrate was like towards the end of the book rather than him finding it in the very, very beginning. All right, there's an entire thing about the Sahara Desert and it being taken up by solar panels. There's an entire thing about pretty much blowing up the entire Antarctica, right? So there's, oh yeah, and then there's the entire thing with the Talmiba, where there's the Talmiba infestation, but Rocky and Grace are together for that. But then there's also when they separate, what's it called? Then Grace is tracking Rocky with the, I don't know, sciencey telescope, this and that. Also, Grace is supposed to help Rocky back into the tube, his entire like little maze throughout the ship, but he doesn't do that. So there's little things here and there that were missed that I didn't really like. But the most prevalent one is this, the spaceship right here. This is annoying me, right? Because see, it's in the book, right? You see, it's described with words here, but there's a visual representation. And in the movie, they have this exact image on one of the TV panels on the Navy carrier. And then when you go to space, it's not this ship. It annoys me very, very much. So honestly, director's cut, if they were to fix it and make it more accurate with the book and give me more internal monologue or more communication between Rocky and Grace, because there's a lot of internal monologue in this book, which just kind of gets sidetracked in the movie, and it's just kind of chalked up to be Grace kind of writing on the whiteboard rather than like thinking it out, because everything in this book is scientific and thought out and this and that, and that doesn't get translated well into the movie. So if I were to make it like a little bit more faithful with the director's cut, then sure. If it was just going to give me more Rocky and Grace scenes, I'll just reread or re-listen to the audiobook of the book. But yeah.